Just one big joke. It's a fucked up world. Here we are in. I ain't going nowhere.
And here we go. Welcome back to The Reason Reborn. This is episode 18.
He said questioning me like I know.
I'm questioning myself because I just hit the button without like making sure I knew what episode we were on.
I'm about to say, don't put me on
I'm
the
a
spot
very
like
organized host, you know. Okay.
I was about to get mad, dude. Like, don't put me on the spot with these gotcha questions all of a sudden. Like,
Nah. This is just me expressing my professionalism to you guys. You know how it is. You know what this is. Episode 18 of The Reason We're Born. Welcome back. Glad to have you here. I'm here with the I don't know what to call you right now because I just got home from work and I didn't really think of a name. But
I'm prepared.
I implore everybody who watch to do me a favor. If you watch, please comment what you would call Cardiacsumo before each episode, and I will pick one. And I will continually, like I saw somebody put in a comment a couple of weeks ago, the PS4 bro Cardiacsumo. So, that's what you are today, because yeah, that's the biggest news of this week is Cardiacsumo has this PlayStation 4 and he's been playing it. So nothing else in the world matters because no other worldview matters except for how do you feel about your PS4? I need you to recount the first day that you had with it because that was hilarious.
I was sad and I didn't get to play it the first day because I got it. I remember having a bad day that day. I got home, picked up the PS4. I was like, I'm gonna play the stress away. It's time for me to re-embrace the gaming lifestyle. Plug all the shit in. I'm ready to go. Can't seem to log in to my PSN account. I'm like, all right, whatever. Something's going weird here. I keep getting these error messages that say something like, this service is down for maintenance or something. Which I guess the service they're referring to is the login service or whatever. I don't know what the architecture is like, but for whatever reason, anytime I tried to log into my PSN account, no dice. Kept getting that same error message for probably like 5 hours. And of course, you go and you check the status of these services, and they're all green. They're all good to go. There's nothing wrong with them. So I'm getting pissed at this point, to the point where I was genuinely trying to figure out how to return this. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm an adult. My patience for this is not as high as it used to be. Plus, I'm a software engineer now, so I spend all day looking at bugs and fixing shit and all that stuff. So like, I can't come home and deal with this kind of shit if this is gonna be like a routine thing with this fucking thing. Like day one, and we're starting with this shit. Nah. So I'd almost returned it, but I think Magus kind of talked me down off the ledge there. So, you fast forward another few hours, and at this point, I'm just scouring through forums, trying to figure out what's going on, seeing people with similar problems, but not quite mine, trying everything, messing with the PS4, like messing with the configurations of my network, fucking port forwarding and all that stuff. I'm not going to bore you guys with nerd talk, lowering firewalls, all that shit. Doesn't seem to work. And then I catch this one dude somewhere in this random forum who said something like, he had the same problem I had. He couldn't log in for days. And then he realized that he was missing some sort of information on his account, like his name and shit, first name, last name, all that shit. So he went in, put it in, and then he could log in. And I was like, fuck it. I've tried everything else. Why not? So I decided to just kind of log in on the app that they have on Android. And then lo and behold, next day, it was like 2 a.m. or something at this point. I could finally log in. So my whole problem was that I didn't have my first and last name filled in. And note, no explanation the entire time. The PS4 didn't say you're missing information on your account. It just said this service is down for maintenance. What the fuck?
This is the worst way of notifying somebody like problems. But welcome to the console world, sir.
Isn't the whole point of the console world that it's supposed to just be plug and play?
Yeah. Although we've seen as time has gone on that they're becoming more like the PC world, but not necessarily all of the benefits of the PC world. So
This shit was odd.
it's okay. But you have played games, right?
I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. That shit is wonderful. I spent like the weekend in the what I now realize was the DLC. I just like ventured into this area and then like sprung up with this thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like this icy place because I have the complete edition.
Yeah, that's probably the DLC area. Although it is part of the regular world. I think I haven't gotten that far yet, but there is a point where you go further north, I believe, in the game. Oddly enough, you're probably farther than me, I bet. How far have you? What point of the story would you say you're in?
I went to, I think it was Meridian, to track down this dude, which I just went to because I spent my entire time doing the DLC because like for some reason it just didn't click to me that I just thought it was like a side mission until I realized at some point like, man, this is getting really fucking hard. And then I finally started paying attention to the levels on the mission. I'm like, yeah, these are like way higher than where I'm at. That's probably why.
So you probably like ran into some really fucked up creatures because I know as the story progresses, you get harder. Like right now, the toughest creature I've met, oh god, I cannot remember its name, but it's like as big as a goddamn brontosaurus, and it has like rocket launchers that shoots like projectile disc at you on top of it just can fuck you up on its own without that shit.
I had been playing the game on hard mode until like near the end of that DLC shit, and I was like, I don't think I can beat this. So I had to, like after a couple hours, I just had to relent and lower the difficulty because I was fighting this like big ass fucking bear thing. Like, bro, this dude will like spam this slash shit, so he like follow you around and like slash with his claws.
Oh, they have a bear thing now? That must be a DLC monster because I've never seen a bear like thing.
This dude is bullshit, bro. Like, bruh, this fucking guy, he can like throw big ass rocks at you. You can't hide behind shit because he breaks through trees and rocks and all that shit. Like, he'll just relentlessly follow you down, like swiping with his claws. And my dumbass, I'm like, I'll hide behind this rock. Smash. I'll hide behind this tree. Nope.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I love about the game is that you have to use like your intelligence. You are on a hunt and you are being hunted by these things. I remember the first mission they give you when you first hunt that again, I can't remember the name of the thing, but you hunt that like tiger-like thing that comes at you and you have to like pick off different parts and stuff. Like I love the strategy of that and how you can trap them and all that. Wait till you get to the Glent Hawks. I hate those things.
I don't know if I'm crazy, but I feel like the AI is too smart. I remember at one point I got really desperate and I like started planning these traps. The bear dude comes around and he just like goes around on a hill and he comes back. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, they are. You have to really be subtle with your traps. You can't just put them in the open. You either have to like catch them while they're charging, or you have to set them in a place where they can't obviously see them because they will jump around shit and they will like fucking feint attacks. Like a fucking. I remember I was getting attacked by two of those tiger things, and one of them like feint the attack, and then the other one would jump in, and I was like, "Wait, what? You're not supposed to be there! Stop it!" And it's like, yo, the fucking AI on those things.
There's the tiger thing in the north. Like it's like one of the first big things that made me worry about the difficulty there. It's like a fire thing. It will shoot waves of fire along the ground, but not just where you are. Mm-hmm. It's like it can tell where I'm going to jump, and it shoots it over there instead. Plus, it's fast as fuck and just follows you.
They really try to play like you play. Like you try to like set up a trap for them. They will do that. They will set like areas and traps, and they know when to retreat and everything like that. It's like, yeah, okay.
But just the way they attack too. Like in most games, when you see something that big, it's normally like slow and lumbering, and you can like kind of, use your speed, whatever, as an advantage. Not these motherfuckers. They're fast as fuck, and they don't stop. They'll just keep. I spent like most of my time running away from one of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, you have to be very evasive. Although I will say this, they give you some tools that help. Like I like the fact that you could slow down the bow and you could switch through your weapon wheel. Yeah. Like it gives you an opportunity to like go through things and progress and like pick the right type of device. Because there were a lot of times with me, like I wasn't equipped with the right arrows, and I had to like on the fly like create these things and like, oh yeah, because I need to get this. I'm running out of this. Like, hunt resources is my advice to you. Make sure you keep lots of resources.
I learned that the hard way because I had to fight 3 of those bear things at one point, and I didn't have shit left, which was part of the problem. I love the rope slinger thing, best friend, where you can like tie him down.
Yep, I love that.
It's a godsend.
I love that shit.
When I fought that fiery tiger thing, I got so desperate at one point, I just like laid down all my bombs and like all my electric strip wire, and then I just like shot something in his ass. I'm like, come get me. And then he does this charge move, so he like flew in, and then I jumped out of the way. Big ass explosion when he.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like it's satisfying because it's challenging, but it's not impossible.
I thought it was impossible. He survived that shit.
No, it's not impossible. It's just that you just have to like be on your toes. It keeps you on your toes, but it doesn't make it like an invincible impossible. Although I will say this, I never beat that big goddamn giant thing with the like rocket launchers. I actually had to Google it to see what I had to do, and I was like, fuck that, I'll have to come at this another time, because you basically have to try to break it down so you can get its own weapons and use it against it. And it's like, yeah, that thing's big, that thing's fast, and that thing's ferocious.
You can like break their parts off, but you have to actually hit their parts, and they don't stop moving. Like they're like they move really naturally, so they're always kind of bobbing and fucking around, so it's not that easy to hit them either.
Yeah, no. Although I'll say this, I think I told this to you before, it has one of the more intuitive, fluent control schemes I've ever played in a game.
Yeah,
and I'm very, very surprised, because having played the Killzone games, while I know that those controls, even though I don't really care for the Killzone games, I acknowledge that their control scheme is very fluid for a first-person shooter. That being said, I wouldn't think that they would be able to go from first-person shooter to third-person action adventure that easily. It's like it just everything makes way too much sense in Horizon to me from where they come from.
Yeah, it's very good. And as we close up on this point, I'm not too deep in the story, but I love it so far. Especially because like I play all the side missions I can. I'm like reading all the shit I pick up and listening to all the audio stuff. Just like it really feels in the world.
Meridian, right?
Now I went back from the DLC area. I just went back to Meridian.
There's a side story there about this guy and his family that I would love to get your opinion on if you ever run into that side mission. Because that shit was like, I was like, this is some really fucked up shit. It was great storytelling, but it's like, yo, this is some bullshit. This motherfucker here. Like, there are some really interesting side stories in the mix that you touch upon.
And I mean, just those, just like the little stuff, like when you pick up notes and shit. Like, I remember I was reading, there's like this collection of notes, and they're all collected into this one big story. And I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is connected to this. And then you realize these people they're like people from way back in the day that you're finding info from, and you get to hear like
which reminds me, just real quick, have you found a cauldron yet?
Yeah, I've been through a couple.
Oh man, those things. Those things are ridiculous.
Correct. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's taken up a lot of my time, and I don't feel like I've even gotten halfway or a quarter way.
You're not. How many hours would you say you put in?
I remember I played it like all of 2 days at one point. I've only had it for like a week, but
yeah, because they say if you play straight through, I think it's 30 hours to beat it, but I can attest that I've probably played, even though I haven't played it in a long time, probably played close to 30 hours, and I may be near the midpoint. I can
tell I'm not far at all. Yeah, there's a lot.
No, Meridian is not that far. No, to be quiet.
And I only just walked into it. Like, I just came back from the Icy Mountains. I'm like, all right, I guess I should continue on the main story. Like, I was playing that DLC for so long, I forgot it wasn't part of the main story.
Damn.
I felt like I'd beaten the game.
I need to get that. I need to get the DLC.
Like, that's how involved it was.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll beat it before God of War comes out, which is in about a month and a half. So, Yeah.
I'm kind of doubtful at this rate.
Yeah. No, probably. Yeah. If you're like me, you're gonna be on it forever.
I'm gonna have to put that God of War shit on the back burner.
Yeah. I just keep looking as I look over at the box for Persona 5 that's still in this wrapper. I realize that I need to finish some stuff so I can get to that, and that's I heard is at least like you can spend as upward as 120 plus hours on it.
Fuck me. That's not making my list. I gotta have some kind of
Also
outside
got
of
South
this.
Park too, so shit.
That
Yeah.
won't take you too long. Plus,
Yeah.
it's light.
No, I
It's
have
fun.
both South Park. You have to think when I got it on sale on PSN, and it was still in time to get the deal. I think you could still get that deal even if you buy it now. Where if you buy the Fracture But Whole, you get the Stick of Truth for free. So
Nice.
I have both South Parks to play through.
All right, that might take a little time, but
Yeah.
you know, it's a lighter experience. It's not all fucking nuts like that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no. Horizon is fucking ridiculous. But it's a great game. It is a great game. But anyway, let's move on to now
Is it time to talk about
the
depressing
boring
shit?
stuff. So it's been another week, politically and socially. As
Like 10
we've,
years.
yeah, it feels like every week is about 5 years. Like I feel like we politically and socially we're aging in dog years. Whereas like if I've been around for a year, I'm actually 14 or some shit like that. Because this dude, what did I say earlier to somebody? I was saying to somebody how like we haven't even made it to the midpoint of the second year. And it feels like the amount of news that we have gotten has surpassed the last 3 presidencies at least. That is like fucking what? Yeah, 3 8-year terms by 3 different presidents.
Oh, you mean
24
combined?
years, you've probably had less drama than you've had in this year and a half.
Combined?
Huh?
Combined? Like all 3 presidencies
Yeah,
combined?
if you take Clinton,
Yeah.
Obama,
Bush.
and Bush, that's 24 years. And you've had less drama than you've had in this year and a half that this dude has been in office.
Because all these fucking liberals, man, just you always have to bitch about something.
Yeah, clearly. It's funny because I've been talking to people and like I remember somebody posting the definition for liberal. And basically it was saying like you have open views about certain things and are like social conscious, more socially conscious aware and all that. It's like think about this definition and then look how people use it and ask yourself, why is this now a bad thing to be? Because the definition of liberal or liberalism isn't necessarily a bad thing. But liberals have been painted as these like just deliberately stubborn, like against anything happening or letting the system work type thing. This is weird because you look at things like today they had a big announcement about DACA. That's what I wanted to talk about because I missed that. But apparently a court awarded like what was it that they couldn't shut down DACA right now? I believe it was.
I feel like a lot of shit happened just today.
Yeah, and of course the Supreme Court decided they weren't going to hear the case. They were going to let things go. They're going to leave it in place until they figure it out. And it's like this whole thing with DACA is being used as a weapon by Trump. And he's constantly saying like liberals don't want you to have DACA, liberals don't have DACA, but everything that you keep seeing, like with the court decision with the Supreme Court and all that stuff, the vote, people trying to push for new bills for DACA, it's clear that people want it.
I mean, it's always been clear that people want it. So,
but he keeps insisting that nobody wants it and keeps ignoring it and keeps delaying it. And it's like, well, how are you telling me I don't want it? Like everybody's working as hard as they fucking can to get this pushed through. Like, where's the conversation is just so weird, and that's the thing. We have a very weird conversation with him. Like with the first thing, of course, we know about the shooting in Florida, and Trump, in a meeting with the governors of the United States, he decides to give this like weird speech where he declares that if he were there, and even if he didn't have a gun, he would have ran in that building to protect the kids. And that he basically riffed on how cowardice the officers who didn't go in, the initial response people who didn't go in immediately and things like that. And he just like basically riffed on what he would have done and how brave he would have been. And he, of course, reiterated his point of let's arm teachers. That's been a big thing. It is weird because he says he didn't say let's give teachers guns, but he keeps saying that I want to train teachers I want teachers who are trained and highly, skilled with guns. He even compared them similar to a guy who can hit a hole in one.
Oh, I kept hearing about this golf analogy, but I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, he kept saying like it's like a guy who can hit a hole in one or who can hit for par and things like that. It was a weird tangent because it's like, I guarantee you, being able to get a good golf score is a lot different than being adept at using a gun. And it was just like the weirdest tangent. And he was just using that as an example of the type of person he wants carrying a gun. But it's like, you keep talking about teachers. It's not like these people aren't just going to just show up in school and be like, I'm just a highly qualified person who has a gun. You keep saying you want to give teachers bonuses, things like that. It's like, it's a weird, like, thing that he's doing. And it's just like, I don't understand it. What is your opinion on his heroism? It's like claim that he would run into a building when there's a guy with a assault rifle mowing down people and protect them, even if he didn't have a gun.
I believe him. Plain as that. No. Well, first I'll touch on his claims to heroism, and then I'll talk about his trying to convert our teachers into a paramilitary, I guess. Why does he feel the need to say shit like this? This is the problem whenever he opens his mouth. He lies or exaggerates in a way that's just not necessary or helpful. Like nobody was wondering whether the president would run into a building like this or not. Nobody was thinking about that. You are bringing up this conversation, and now you're making yourself look stupid because you have people pointing out that you dodged the draft several times because of bone spurs or whatever the fuck that was. You have people bringing up these images of you. This image that's going to be really popular. That too, but like he's going up on this plane and he has like this umbrella over his head while Melania and his son are apparently standing in the rain or whatever behind him. And they're like, you wouldn't even take a raindrop for your own kid. You're going to take a bullet for ours? What are you talking about? Like, but no, people wouldn't be attacking him on this if he would just shut the fuck up. Was anybody criticizing him for his disinterest in running into a building with a shooter before this? No. Nobody. He keeps creating these situations because he insists on saying things that are just stupid, false, crazy. Like,
yeah, even like at that meeting, a governor got up. It was like, I keep hearing you talk about giving teachers guns, and nobody's asking for teachers, having guns. Perhaps maybe if you would tweet less and listen more, you'd understand what people actually want. And the governor said that in front of all these other governors in this meeting, and he had no real response.
So, I mean, jumping on to this idea of arming the teachers, which again, only he and maybe a couple of the people more on the lunatic fringe in his end seem to want. Only he wants this. Teachers don't want this. Military veterans and current military, I guess, talk about this. Like, they don't think it's a good idea. Nobody thinks this is a good idea, yet he can't shut up about it. He's been talking about this I can't remember when exactly it started. Pretty soon after the shooting, he was talking about this, and he continued to, and it just shows that he's living in this fantasy he's building up, this idea that we'll just turn the country into the Wild West, and then all these sicko shooters won't be able to take advantage of these gun-free zones. Like, he keeps describing these weird fantasies of having teachers roaming the halls all armed and trained. And it's just that. It's a fantasy. It's not real. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't work that way. It's stupid. And it's based off these ideas of how things would work that just simply are untrue. Which, again, even if we wanted to take this seriously, there's still the huge issue of how are we going to pay for all this shit? It is a little weird that you're suggesting buying, what is that figure that's going around, 700,000 teachers' guns? Because, you know, that's giving people in the NRA a huge fucking boner right now, just talking about that. On top of the trading. And like, even if we didn't think this idea was stupid, which it is, it's not that feasible.
No, it's like most of his ideas. It's just something he says without thought, without reason, without planning, without, you know, any type of just nothing to it. It's just all talk, no substance. And it just makes no sense. It's easily broken down into nonsense because it's funny. Somebody I know made a good point. He was like, imagine a teacher, like a white teacher in an inner city school who's already fearful of their students. And you give this person a gun because he has these stereotypes that, like, you know, basically black students are going to, you know, do whatever and be violent or things like that. Or even if he's in a situation where there are students who are like that. You give this teacher now a gun to protect themselves in supposedly reasoning being he's going to protect the kids if something goes down. What makes you think that if this person is in fear of these kids or he has any type of animosity towards these kids, even if you take it out of an inner city black school and white teacher, just any position where a teacher may feel compelled to have some type of animosity, fear, or grudge against a student. What makes you think that that teacher may not utilize that weapon to instill fear or to instill discipline or to even murder a student that they don't like?
I've actually heard the issue the other way around. I remember seeing somebody say something like, would you like to be the black teacher with a gun when the SWAT team comes rolling in? Like
that too.
Which you can even take away the black thing. Like, do you want to be anybody holding up a gun, walking around when the SWAT team
because we all tend to forget, but Castro, the black man who was killed in his car, who was a legal gun carrier, guess what his job was? He was a fucking teacher. He was a teacher who legally carried a gun. Look how his situation ended.
Yes. But, you know, we're always talking about how Trump says dumb shit, and despite however many people refute his dumb shit, he never seems to stop. I think it's just hard for a lot of us to accept that he is immune to reason. I mean, we keep trying to reason with this motherfucker, but if he was reasonable, he wouldn't be saying most of this stuff in the first place.
Yeah.
That is why he can get away with saying this stuff and continuing to say this stuff over and over and over again, no matter how many people in how many ways prove that it's false, stupid, or crazy. It's because it doesn't matter. He seems to not be able to be appealed to through reason like most human beings with a mind. Maybe that sounded harsh, but I don't know how else to explain this guy. There's a reason he doesn't seem to be able to be moved by anybody else talking.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't get it. But he says these things, and the way he says them is what kills me. Because like when I was looking at him talk about this whole thing of him being willing to run into a hail of bullets to protect kids, and him riffing off of how bad McCain was for not voting for health care, and this all over the place, by the way, as usual. He wasn't necessarily on target with his message. He was just all over the fucking map with everything he was saying. And God bless all you governors who went to that shit. I could not imagine having to sit there in that meeting. I would just fucking have lost my mind. Hopefully the alcohol was plentiful for you guys. Because, yeah.
That guy saying that kind of shows you this weird place we're at, where most other people who feel like they're sane are talking to this dude who doesn't seem to be sane, and there's nothing you can really do or say with him. Like, how do you communicate with this motherfucker? A lot of people say he's a liar or whatever. He's a liar. He is, but it feels more like he just doesn't care what the truth is. Like, you hear him talk, and he just spouts out random nonsense because it doesn't matter what's true or not. I have a hard time understanding his grasp of reality, which, again, I don't want to sound hyperbolic about this, but there's a reason he feels compelled to just spout out shit like, I would run into a building with a shooter completely unprovoked. He says stuff like this all the time that's crazy or false, completely unprovoked. Nobody generally pushes him into these situations.
Yeah, no.
As much as people feel like we attack Trump, I would say about a good half of the shit he gets attacked on is shit he brought up in the first place that nobody cared about before.
He puts the ball on the tee. How can you not just swing at it?
I can't remember what the number is about how many false statements he makes, but it is absurdly high. Like, higher than it should be for a human.
Yeah, I remember it was a speech that he gave. I remember looking at this guy break down the speech, and basically break down the things so that were false, so we can dispute it. And it was a pretty lengthy article, and he had at least 25 bullet points of things that can be pointed out as false or easily dismantled. And I was just like reading it, and I was like, good Lord, he just took a 20-minute speech and dissected it into like all of these points of falsehood that this man is in a 20-minute speech. And it's just ridiculous. Like, how? How do you say that? How do you have that much misdirection and falsehood in what you say in 20 minutes?
The thing is, they're not subtle or like waffling, like subtle dishonesty that you normally see out of politicians, which I don't endorse, but everybody lies a little bit. We're all a little bit dishonest in some cases, and politicians in a lot of cases understandably so, but this isn't like a traditional politician's dishonesty. These are bold-faced fucking lies. Like, it's like he just comes out and is saying like the sun or the moon is made of cheese or something. Like, these are just bold, direct untruths, normally not helpful untruths to him, so I don't know why he tends to make them, but
yeah,
this is not the same kind of line that politicians are known to do. This is far more direct and more to the point, far more often. Like, everything he says is a lie. You notice, there's that phrase that's like, you take the president. Oh, what the fuck is that phrase? You take him seriously, but not literally, or something like that. We've gotten so used to the fact that we can't trust him to put together a true, coherent thought that we never bother to really assess what he's saying as though it's a fact, or as though it's a true argument or not, because it's not worth the time. Because we know that he's just going to spout nonsense anytime he gets up to speak.
Yeah, it's really sad, and it's like, you should want to hear what the president's thoughts are, but I honestly feel like if I keep listening to this guy, I will become a lesser being. I will become something less than the dumbest animal that you can imagine on the planet, and just, I don't know, like, I'm gonna become an amoeba or something. I don't know.
I was listening to his CPAC thing and I just tapped out. I was like, I can't take it. And
Yo, that CPAC thing. Oh my God. His speech, for those who don't know, what is the conservative something or other? I don't know what it means. All I know is
Action Committee. I don't remember.
Yeah, all I know is CPAC was this past week in Washington, D.C. Yay. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as last year because I worked not too far from it. And last year, when he was elected, it was when he was inaugurated, when they did CPAC, it was ridiculous. Like, you would have thought that it was the second inaugural event for him because the traffic was maddening to get through. This year, not so much. So people kind of, I guess, cooled on the Trump fervor for CPAC. I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't an election, right? So
yeah, I mean, fine by me because it meant I got to get home on time and didn't have to deal with them fucking crazy people.
You should have just joined in. Then they could point you out at the crowd. It's like, look, we got another black guy.
Oh, clearly they wouldn't want us because they found it being a mistake to elect a black guy to help them anyway. More on that in a little while, but Trump, of course, gave a speech. I think this is going to be an annual thing as far as he's president because he got so much love the last time. I guess he feels like I'm going to come back here all the time now and speak to you guys.
I mean, he goes everywhere to speak all the time. He's in constant campaign mode, this guy.
Yeah. You got the job. You don't have to keep trying to convince us that you should have the job.
He's not. He's letting us stroke his ego.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
That's
not going to fit anybody's
thing because it's literally no reason for this guy to keep making all these public appearances that have no meaning. It's not like he's just showing up to discuss different, legislature and things like that. He's just showing up to riff on how brilliant he is and how you need to back him. All that shit is dumb.
You're doing great things, folks. Great. It was terrible before.
Well, this is one of those speeches where somebody breaks it down and goes through the falsehood, and it's just like it's a ridiculous thing. He made fun of John McCain for some reason, which I honestly don't get why you're making fun of a guy who's dealing with brain cancer just because he didn't vote for you for a health bill.
He was also a war hero that got tortured, but that didn't stop him from fucking with him during his campaign. So exactly. I guess it shouldn't be shocking to us.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, it should be and it shouldn't, which I feel sad that we have to say it shouldn't be shocking because you would think that he would have a little, bit more respect.
Human decency.
yeah, human decency, definitely. But this guy doesn't. He has no respect for anything at all, even himself, apparently. But it was just a weird thing. And in the midst of the CPAC controversy, we had a guy, and I forget his name, he got up and he spoke about Micheal Still, who was the Republican National Committee chair at one point, who he's been getting beat on, of course, because he was considered significant in his role towards exposing the whole Russia investigation matter and all of that. But a guy came up and he was like, we made a mistake because we voted for him only because he was black. And that was a weird thing to come out because it's kind of funny because the story with Obama has always been the only reason why you like him is because he's black. You just wanted to have a black man in office. Yet, as far as I'm concerned, nothing he did made it regretful that you voted a black man in. Because he wasn't necessarily voted in because he was black. But now, years later, and your party's issue is that you're voting for people because of their skin color. And you have a problem with that within your own race. I just found it like very weird. It was surreal. I wasn't surprised by Micheal Still's response because he was like, yo, if you look at my resume, I actually didn't do a bad job. shit kind of fell left, of course, because of Trump. And that's the funny thing, because the worst of the worst for the Republican National Party seems to revolve around Trump and his campaign right now. So,
you mean the worst news, or did you mean something at CPAC?
just like if you look back to the previous election, like the Republican Party was already spinning out of control after the Obama presidency, because the way that they came at Obama, how they attacked him, who they came at him with, their whole strategy philosophy was just retarded. They relied too much on Tea Party ideology and things like that. So, Michael Steele was kind of trying to get them back on the general GOP thing, but Trump comes in and he blows up any idea of traditional GOP politics. And at that point, with the majority of the higher people in the Republican National Committee, once they realized that Trump was going to get the nomination, turning face and backing this guy, what the fuck was he supposed to do? It's like he quit, of course, but at the same time, other than quitting, what was he supposed to do? Either he would jump aboard the insane asylum, or he fucking try to fight it, and he wasn't going to win that fight because they just wanted somebody who could beat Hillary, who could beat liberals, who could stop the tide of, I guess Obamaism, maybe, I don't know what.
Leftism more generally, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll touch on that in a little bit, but this CPAC thing, a lot of people focused on Trump's little speech and the fact that, we acknowledge that Steele is a black guy. But, there's also the way just the people at CPAC were reacting to stuff. They were all kind of on board with this type of shit. There was some lady whose name I can't remember for some reason. she got, sort of heavy booing when she started to bring up the hypocrisy around the way the party has been toward people who've been accused of sexual harassment stuff, the way they embraced Roy Moore, things like that. She was bringing up the hypocrisy of that, and she was getting booed, bringing up the hypocrisy of having, a guy in office who bragged about his sexual assaults, if they can be so called, all that stuff, which seemed like just plain reasonable things to say. And even I was a little surprised that she was getting just directly booed. When she brought up Roy Moore, some lady started yelling, "Not true, not true." It's like, what's not true? There wasn't very much that was questionable about the Roy Moore situation.
Right.
This, I don't know, I think that was indicative of some transformation that maybe Trump has been helping along, if not causing directly, within that entire conservative group. You have a bunch of lunatics taking over the asylum, I guess. I mean, I think that's something that gets lost in all of this. It's not just that Trump is an issue. It's that he's culturally transforming a significant portion of the right. I don't know how significant, but the more active vocal ones, he's starting to push them into the main arena, I guess you could say.
And he's emboldening them to say some of those weirdest things, like that link that Katina sent us last night about the lieutenant governor and his whole statement about if you are against the NRA, you're against the conservatism, and if you don't support them as a company, then the state of Georgia is going to take away any types of tax breaks or benefits that you get from doing business in our state and all that. And it's just like, what the fuck? First of all, he's a lieutenant governor. Why are you the one speaking on this, on government policy? No offense, but if people think vice presidents are useless, lieutenant governors are kind of like extra useless in a lot of political arenas. The comptroller is more powerful than the lieutenant governor. So
I mean, I know I just mentioned the way Trump is kind of, I don't know if this is going to sound harsh, transforming or redefining conservatism a little bit. That guy, the lieutenant governor's claim was that an attack on the NRA is an attack against conservatives writ large, which was kind of bold already, but it's not conservative at all for you as a politician to be attacking businesses. That's kind of, for you using your political power to lead on business is not conservative at all. That is as anti-conservative as it gets. So what the fuck are you talking about?
yeah.
Aren't you conservative guys all about businesses having the freedom to do what they want and not letting government come in and like fuck with them too much? What is this? This is not conservatism. And he's making the claim that an attack on them is an attack on conservatives. It's not conservative at all for a politician to do this. To attack.
Yeah, when did the NRA become the flagship for political conservatism? I get the idea, like the Second Amendment and all of that is their thing, but that's not necessarily the GOP's top agenda, or at least their philosophy isn't based around the Second Amendment. So I didn't get that whole like this is an attack on conservatism thing. Sure, you can make an argument it's a part of some conservative ideology, but god damn it, it's not the identity of conservatism.
I mean, you look at all those polls about supporting, some gun regulations. Conservatives, in a decent number at least, are kind of for that stuff too. They're not largely in opposition. Maybe they're not willing to go as far as more liberal people, but you make it sound like they're all as equally freaked out about this as more people on the fringe of the right are, which is kind of the point. Like he's making it seem like conservatives all over are the same level of crazy about this gun thing as he is, which is not true. And there's this weird little war going on in the conservative camp that I think a lot of us who aren't part of it aren't paying as much attention to. But
yeah, they're kind of falling apart at the seams. And again, ever since Donald Trump came up on the scene, it's just like
that's the thing. He's making the Republican Party and conservatism in general less palatable for a lot of these more reasonable people. They're either jumping ship. Well, I shouldn't say jumping ship because that implies they're being Democrats or something. They're either just not being Republican. They feel like people who don't have like a home politically anymore. They're just kind of backing away. Some of them actually are just not being Republicans anymore. There's this group of them that are just pulling away from the party and the conservative movement in general because it's transforming into a way that's too disgusting to be tolerated.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing that we're seeing. Like this guy, and it's funny because I understand like his whole campaign was driven on the whole draining the swamp. Like he wants to get rid of traditional government and all that, but I feel like it's not just traditional government he cares to get rid of. He just doesn't want any type of organizations. Like for all the bad I can say about the GOP, at least they have a plan and they have a goal. This guy has no plan. He has no goal. He has no direction. He has no agenda. He's just throwing things out there, and it's like, that's not how you run a government.
He doesn't want to be a president. He wants to be a personality.
Yeah.
Which is my way of explaining a lot of, because you're right, for a president, he doesn't seem to have any true desires or anything. Even during his campaign, he never really campaigned on that strongly. He was flip-flopping every fucking day. The most consistent thing I can remember was probably the wall.
Yeah, no, the wall is his thing. The wall, and of course, getting rid of Obamacare. That's about it.
I mean, rolling back Obama era stuff was fairly consistent, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to have any forward-moving desires. Just, fuck Obama stuff. We got to stop letting the other countries fuck us in the ass. Let's build a giant wall. Like, there wasn't much there to begin with, so
Yeah, and it's just increasingly more evident that it will never be anything beyond that because of the things that he harps on. Again, going back to DACA, he's so dead set of like manipulating that to get rid of it. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, but I bring up that point about conservatism because, when Katina sent out that tweet, I was like, it's just so weird that he's claiming that what he's doing is in defense of conservatives. This is the exact type of shit they would lose their mind over. What are you talking about? So I think something interesting to look at over the next few years will be how the right reacts, how they rebuild, how I don't imagine that they're destroyed for good by this type of thing, but there's certainly a significant division over there, and too many people throwing around the word conservative without really seeming to adhere to what conservatism is and has been, at least not in the past few decades. I mean,
Yeah, because
you
I've
can
even
talk
heard
around these
people.
political terms all you want, but
I've even heard people say like some of the policies with the taxes and the spending. It's like that's not conservatism, but they're doing things that they just don't want to acknowledge. Like even your general base is telling you, no, you're fucking this up. You're doing it all wrong.
that's some of it too. Like some of his spending when he talks about that, I'm like, your conservative backers want that? Are you sure? Have you checked with them? Because
Right.
that's the exact type of shit that tends to bother them. Are you sure?
Yeah, but apparently it does not register with him or the people who are supporting him. I don't.
But I think that's why you have this group of people now that will seem to support him no matter what he does, because in their mind, he is defining conservatism for them. So when they say I'm conservative, and they seem to be following Trump shit, even though that's not really conservative behavior, it's because for them, he is the definer of conservatism. So they'll follow him because you get into that tribe mentality where you're loyal to the tribe. He's the leader of that tribe, so in a lot of their cases, he is defining what the tribe's mission statement, I guess, is, which is why you see them they seem to be willing to go in any direction, no matter how crazy. Because for them, it's not about what conservatism used to be, it's what it is as it's being defined.
Yeah, no, it's very strange because, yeah, they're totally ignoring their philosophy and their like what they've stood for all these years for this idiot. That's the thing. It would be one thing if he was a guy who was a dynamic leader who came with a philosophy that made you go, huh, maybe we have been doing this wrong and maybe we should be going this direction. This guy's an idiot and he has no direction. What the fuck are you following? Like,
I think that's what I'm pointing out is we tend to assume that when people claim themselves as like a liberal, a conservative, Democrat, Republican, that they mean that they espouse certain ideas, they adhere to certain philosophies, which, and then this was coming from a book I was listening to earlier. I don't think that's the case. I think they're just largely claiming that they are part of this identity group. If I say I'm a conservative, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm adhering to what would have commonly been conservative ideas. It just means I am part of this team called conservatives, which is different than saying I adhere to these ideas, because it means I don't have to adhere to any particular ideas. It just means I have to be loyal to this group. I think you see that with a lot of things in society. That's why ideas that seem to be insane, people can roll with, because it's adhering to those crazy ideas is a sign that you are loyal to the tribe.
yeah,
I think
that's weird. Just you.
I mean, it is odd, but I'd only thought about that because it came up as an idea in a book I'm going through now called Enlightenment Now. It's I guess the writer's a psychologist, so that might be why he brought it up. But I thought it was an interesting point that he made, because we tend normally to assume that when you say you are part of a certain group, you adhere. You are part of the group because you believe in certain ideas, but it might be the other way around. You're just part of the group, no matter what ideas are getting thrown around in there, which I think would help explain a little bit why some people seem suddenly so flexible with the ideas they're willing to tolerate that they wouldn't have been willing to tolerate like 10 years before.
Yeah, which is just really, really troubling. Well, moving on from that, speaking of trouble, Trump, of course, still has trouble going on with the Russian investigation. And Hope Hicks, his advisor, has been was brought in to be questioned by the House committee that's investigating the Russia situation. Of course, she decided to be a dick and not answer certain questions and only answer specific questions. So now speculation is that she will be subpoenaed to actually have to answer directly those questions. It's interesting because it's what Steve Bannon did, and then they subpoenaed him immediately. But they didn't immediately subpoena her, so I don't know if they don't think that she has enough pertinent information to care, or if they're just really trying to set her up and get her to sit there and stew for a little bit to realize that they're really going to come at her eventually. What do you think is going on with this situation? And by the way, Robert Mueller, you're a fucking monster. Because speaking of the Russian investigation, Robert Mueller has pretty much flipped Robert Gates. Robert Gates, one of the key advisors during the whole Russian thing. Huh?
It's Rick Gates.
Rick Gates, sorry, I said Robert Gates. Why do I always get these names? Y'all need to like have more dynamic names. Like we need to start in the parliament, then I'll remember more. Like who could Rick Gates be? What villain would he be?
He's
not a major enough villain, but he's a villain enough. Like he could be the ventriloquist or something like that, I guess.
Oh god.
I don't know. Yeah, but Rick Gates basically pled guilty. He is now going to be working with the Mueller investigation. Paul Manafort is still being a dick and has decided to get himself indicted. Like how many indictments was it? 34? 24 indictments brought up against him now?
Shit's a lot, man. Mueller's just bending this dude over and shoving a bunch of indictments up his ass.
He keeps fighting Robert Mueller, and it's just like, dude, just let it go. You're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be spending a shit ton of time in prison.
Which he should. I mean, it's a fucking criminal.
He should. But it's just like you're being given opportunity to at least avoid the majority of the litigation that will be handed down to you. Don't you want to see your grandkids at some point in your life, sir?
I mean, oh, sorry. Yeah, sure. I was thinking of Manafort for a second, so I was like, what? This dude's probably gonna die in prison. What?
No, that's what I'm saying. Manafort, like shouldn't he want to like have in mind what Rick Gates had did when Rick Gates came out with that statement, said, I'm not gonna put my family through this. I'm just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet. Shouldn't Manafort be having that same type of conversation? Like, what is his wife saying to him? Like at this point, I'm divorcing him if I'm her, and I'm taking the kids with me because you're not going to be a part of this life. You're not going to be part of this family anyway. Fuck it. Let me divorce you and get my settlement now because you're not going to have any money either because you're going to get all your assets seized.
So I'm assuming their spouses were not complicit in their crimes. And based on that assumption, I just wonder what it must be like for them, what it must be like for the kids. If, again, assuming that none of them knew any of this stuff, which was going on, which a lot of it was pretty fucking wild. Assuming that they are completely innocent, like this must be crazy for them. Their dad is probably one of the most famous criminals in America right now, to be honest. I mean, not for any murder or anything, but as far as criminals go, they're the ones we're talking about the most right now. So those names are famous for being corrupt.
Yeah.
That must be crazy. I don't know how old their kids are at this point, but
it doesn't matter. Like, even if your kids are grown, you're gonna have grandchildren, and grandchildren aren't gonna want to know that. They're gonna be wanting to go to school as, yeah, you're a Manafort. You're that guy whose grandfather, like, just basically destroyed the country by putting this man in place, and then is now forever in jail, making license plates or whatever they do in jail. I don't. Do they make license plates now? I know that was an old timey reference to prison, but
Oh, you're old. The other day you were talking about this to me on Twitter, and you said you used the phrase "putting the screws to him." I was like, "What the fuck? Who says that?"
Look, I used to watch a lot of gangster.
Yo.
God damn it! Shut
I
up.
felt like I was back in the '60s or something.
Yeah, the jig is up. See. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember some of the details as to what the situation as it's been described as has been going on. It seems like Manafort. I don't know if they came out with the full details yet, but I guess he needed to find a lot of money for some fucking reason. I don't know if we know why yet. I mean, this dude was lying, trying to take out millions of dollars in loans and shit, pretty much just trying to fuck anybody out of a bunch of money. Do we know why he needed that money yet?
He's apparently the launderer. He is the chief launderer of funds.
Okay.
And the general idea is that he laundered the money to shift to Russia to help facilitate whatever they were going to do.
Okay, because the way it was being described, I was like, is this guy in danger of being killed? Because he seems desperate to get all this money to like pay off somebody. I don't know.
It's like, did you borrow from the Russian mafia or something? Is that why you're so dead set on flipping? Although I would feel like you should want to flip, because I would take government protection over me just being out here going to jail just to show loyalty. Because at this point,
Russia
if you
owns our
have any
president,
loyalty, huh?
Russia owns our president, though. So like, how safe would he really be?
Exactly. So like exhibiting loyalty to this whole grand scheme, to me, it's just ludicrous. You got a lot more to fear than just like Putin sending somebody over here to possibly murder you. You're going to fucking go to prison like for the rest of your natural life and that of your grandchildren's natural life if you're not careful. Like, dude, and that's the funny thing is like you hear about how these people who've gone in and talked to Robert Mueller and stuff like that, and somebody made a good point. It's like, at this point, why should you be loyal to this dude? What is it going to help you to stick beside and stand beside this guy and to hide secrets when you have some of the biggest names in his administration already either been hit or pegged to be hit, and this guy has never shown an ability to be loyal to his people? What are you sitting here waiting to take this huge hit for? Go in now and talk to Mueller and get yourself in a more pristine position, because it's not worth it. Even if somehow Trump miraculously doesn't get hit in all of this, you're still going to get hit. So should you put yourself in a better position?
I don't know what his motivation is, but I don't know. There's no reason not to just admit you've done wrong, because it's not like it's questionable at this point that you were doing shit wrong. It's pretty much proven. There's no mystery. I mean, a little mystery, but you committed some crimes, period. And there's no reason not to believe you didn't. So,
like, look, you can deny that your dog shit on my lawn all you want to, but I've just showed you the video of your dog shitting on my lawn and you holding the leash. What the fuck are you denying, sir?
I just bring that up because this was going on until right about when he joined the election to lead their campaign, Trump's campaign. And I guess suddenly it seemed that he didn't need the money anymore. But however that magically happened, even though he supposedly wasn't getting paid by the campaign or all that shit, there's some really seedy shit going on there. Is my point. That is tied to Russia and tied to the Trump campaign, which doesn't look good for a lot of people.
No. That's the funny thing, because all these people, again, Trump may not even get touched, but you're gonna have a shit ton of government officials just fall to the wayside.
Yeah, but a lot of let's point out, a lot of these people shouldn't fucking be there in the first place. Manafort should not have been anywhere near that campaign or in office. What experience did he have to warrant that? Why the fuck is Hope Hicks in the White House? Or Jared, or Ivanka, or... nepotism is running wild here. He has too many people in positions of power who shouldn't be there because they're either friends or family.
Yeah, speaking of Jared, he just got his security clearance revoked. Basically, John Kelly removed the temporary top secret clearance of Jared Kushner and a bunch of other people within the administration that have been helping out with Trump destroying the nation. And it's a lot of people who've been like privy to top secret documents, key information, who could not be cleared because of their previous business ties, personal issues, what have you. And they've been running around basically facilitating top government advisory positions. And now none of them are able to even like get their hands on things that they would need to actually do their job.
That's right after that scandal with what's his name, who was a wife beater. There's so many scandals, I'm just having trouble keeping up with the names. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's his name? Robert Porter.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there was that big issue with his clearance level too.
Yeah, because he didn't have security clearance as well. Now Jared, the savior of the Middle East, no longer can save the Middle East, I guess.
We're fucked. We were all relying on Jared.
I know.
Damn it.
And it's ridiculous because, again, while it hasn't been that long, we're a year and a half in this administration. And by the way, I don't know if you're watching SmackDown, but your girl's on right now. Like doing
my God. Am I thinking Ruby? She's
wonderful. No, Naomi.
Naomi? Oh, shit.
Yeah. She actually dyed her hair pink and yellow and neon.
That's not a wig?
No, that's a dye job. The way she's like flipping that.
Make sure to
check like she cut her hair.
I'm gonna have to make sure to check that shit out.
Yeah, nah. It's actually pretty badass. But your girl Ruby is in the mix because she's about to go at it with Ruby in there. So.
I thought, oh yeah.
Oh no, it is a wig. She just took it off. Okay. But she got like the neon highlights at the end of her hair too.
You see her entrance though? The way it glows, that shit looks awesome though.
Yeah, no, it's hot. Because again, she's just like doing it up. I love you some Naomi. Anyway, back to let me stop lusting over this woman.
For real, she's fine though.
Damn, and she's about to go one-on-one with your girl Ruby. So you're gonna have a great time watching it.
I hope it's a tie and then they hug and then everything is okay. And then for some reason, what's her face gets kicked in the face.
Stare down by Ruby. Oh shit, the forearm. Oh shit, let me stop watching this because I'm gonna get into it. This is hot.
Oh my God. But nepotism thing again. I just made a joke about Jared solving the Middle East issue. But why the fuck were we ever talking about this in the first place? He shouldn't have been in the White House to begin with. And now here we are making jokes about him fixing the Middle East issues because Trump said he could do it and just kind of appointed him to do that. I mean, this is not something we should be talking about in the first place. Who the fuck is this guy?
No, and it's funny because they didn't go through a roll call of names, but I bet you if we were to get a list of the names that have just been revoked top secret clearance, you probably realize that you have an Oval Office that's being run by people who can't advise the president on shit because they aren't aware of what's going on because they're not allowed to know what's going on in the world. How are you supposed to govern as a president efficiently if the people sitting close to you can't even give you the proper advice and information to disseminate and to do your job with?
How are they even allowed
Again,
around you?
not that Trump wants to do his job, but
Oh.
still, you can't even. You now no longer have the pretense of wanting to do your job because you have no one around you to help facilitate that. So it is now all pretty much just about on you alone, with the exception of maybe Kelly and like a handful of others. It's all on you.
And we know that he doesn't take much interest in listening to his briefings and shit. So it's not like he's particularly attentive to that.
So what's going to happen now? Like, what the fuck?
It's a good question.
And then you have the talk of Masters looking to exit as well. Oh, so that's another person who actually does have the resume and the clearance and the experience that's about to leave.
If we can hop back at Jared for a second, is he paid? Is Jared paid?
Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to remember what exactly his position is.
As far as I know, he's just
I don't
know if he's a
son-in-law.
national security. He's not a national security advisor. So what the fuck is his official position? That's another thing that kills me. It's like you have all these people who don't have like these real clear. It's just like they're top aides, top advisors, but they don't necessarily have like a specific like we joke about the Middle East thing, but why don't we address Jared Kushner as top advisor for the Middle East? You don't even have that for him.
Because he's not.
Exactly. So it's like there's no definition.
Because I bring this up to say that he's not just surrounded himself with his people, just nepotism in general. He's surrounding himself with people that don't have a job. Like, these people don't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
They don't have any actual roles. He's just sticking people where. Why the fuck is Ben Carson part of the HUD?
Yeah, why is he the
Housing and
head
Urban
of the
Development?
Department of Housing and Urban? Because he's black, and I guess because the word urban is in there, so you urban, you're black, that fits.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of that clown motherfucker, why is it that a former employee of his like filing a grievance because they were asked to redecorate the office for the HUD department, and apparently Ben Carson was making some outlandish requests and trying to exceed the budget, having someone say within his group of confidants that $5,000 isn't even enough for a decent chair. I'm sorry, what type of chair are you trying to sit on?
A golden shitter, like Trump has. I remember I read that article. Somebody, their refutation was that they didn't spend all that money and they only spent like $3,000 on some blinds or whatever for the windows, whatever the fuck they were. I was like, you spent $3,000 on blinds? What are you talking about? That sounds crazy to me. I need to see a picture of this office and these blinds.
Yeah, like what do these blinds do? Do they like block ultraviolet rays?
Plus, it's an office. Like, I don't know. I need to see some pictures of this office. It's a fucking office. Why do you need so much money in the first place? Presumably, it has office shit already. Like, it has a desk, I would assume. Maybe a chair. I can see you spending a little money to like personalize it, but I just need to see an image. Is there an image of this thing's office?
Yeah, no. I need to see the palatial Ben Carson office. Like, convince me why it's worth the money that you wanted to spend, and why you felt like this person wasn't doing their job, because they were trying to do, again, going back to the conservatism thing, be fiscally responsible with the redecoration. I don't get it. Like, why is this man even allowed to be in government at all? Like, jeez.
See, these people in journalism aren't doing their job. I need to find a picture of this dude's office. I'm getting mad. I have to know what the fuck in his office warranted all this money.
Yeah, I don't.
But again, what experience does he have to even be in this office that he needs to spend all this fucking money on in the first place? He was a brain surgeon. And now he's the head of the HUD. Are you kidding? Trump has filled too many positions with people who are not qualified to do those jobs. In some cases, like the security clearance issue, they're not allowed to do those jobs. That is ridiculous. People who don't know what the fuck they're doing, and even if they did know, can't. It's a fucking joke. And note, remember, one of his many crazy claims, I hope you're not looking at my lady over there, one of his many crazy claims was that he hires the best people. I've never seen anybody worse at hiring motherfuckers. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's like, just like, I just saw the head of EPA is planning on shutting down the department that does research on poisons in childhood, things that can poison children, like basically murder your kids unsuspectingly. He's shutting that shit down. It's like, wait, you mean the guy who has never had any EPA experience in his life is saying, we don't need to protect kids from poisons. So let's not research that. Like, what? Like he was the governor of a state for a minute.
Fuck those kids, man.
But this is what persists as government. And,
this disdain for the environment and science at large is crazy. It's one of the things we don't talk about.
Humanity is like ridiculous.
Because but like even this thing, this issue with Pruitt over there, and just in general the regulations the Trump administration rolls back related to the environment and stuff like that. It's not new. He's been doing that since he took office. He rolls back all this shit where it's like, regulations on like water quality, stuff like that, where it's like, who the fuck wants this? Who wants worse water and worse air? Who wants illnesses to get out and kill kids? Nobody wants this stuff except, I don't know, somebody who can profit off of this somehow without having to adhere to certain regulations, I guess.
That's the only thing I could see, honestly, because everything that you see that happens, it's like everybody keeps telling you, no, we don't want this. But you keep doing it. Why?
There's only a handful of people who could possibly benefit from that kind of stuff. And it's not the poor people that he kept pandering to.
No.
But they usually tend to suffer from that. So.
Yeah, no, it's a fucking retarded.
We mentioned Jerry. How about Ivanka though? Because
oh my god. Oh, I kind of wanted to avoid her, but yeah.
I don't know if you were thinking about something other than what I was thinking of, but she was in this interview and she got asked, do you believe the accusers, against your father for the sexual allegation stuff? And she just tried to like block that entire question by saying, I don't think it's appropriate to ask a daughter this question or whatever the fuck she said. Yeah, eventually, I think she answered and just said, she believes her father because he denied it. And she has that right as a daughter, she said she has the right as a daughter, which freaked me the fuck out. I don't know what that meant, but.
But in any other situation, that would be, while it would be troubling, it would be understanding because, hey, she's just the president's daughter. We probably shouldn't be going to her and asking, maybe not going to her because she really has no real role in this except for, hey, she just happens to be the president's daughter. Problem is, you're not just the president's daughter. You are one of his chief advisors. You are a part of his government, his staff, his administration. So what you think and how you feel about how your boss, not just your daddy, your boss is behaving actually has merit and actually should be addressed because you are working for this guy. You're not just, you can't throw up that I'm just his daughter shit just conveniently. No, you're not just his daughter. You stop being just his daughter once he brought you to that Oval Office, gave you your own office, and put you on a staff payroll. So you can't hide behind that.
Is she paid?
Hide behind that. Yes. She's staff. She's a staff. She's one of the staff.
I thought she was a volunteer position though. Like, because I know one of the ways Trump says to get away with some of this shit is that they'll say like they're not being paid. So for some reason, it tends not to be a problem with some of these people.
Even if it's voluntary, you're still staff. You're an employee. Yeah. It's just like if I do an internship and don't get paid, I'm still considered an employee. I don't.
No, I agree. I just bring it up. No. That tends to be their excuse sometimes. Is that with some of these people, they're not technically paid. So for some reason, they try to use that as an argument for why some of these things aren't wrong that they do.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're getting flown by the United States government on taxpayers' money to fucking Korea to just wave at the camera. Don't come at me with I'm not getting a paycheck bullshit. You're getting benefits of your role. So shut up. Just shut up.
Yeah, flying around on taxpayer dime. And as I recall, I don't remember how much she specifically did it herself, but she was positioned as sort of like a champion of women's rights. I remember a lot of us, not me, I didn't think this for a second, but early months of the presidency, a lot of people were talking about, she'll rein her dad in. She seems to be more reasonable, which, let's be honest, get rid of this motherfucker, a rabbit orangutan seems pretty reasonable. But a lot of people look to her as a possible safeguard champion of women, and she seemed to address herself as that a little bit at times too. So it's not like you're just an advisor, whatever the fuck that means. I'm still trying to figure out what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But however vague your position is, part of what you said you wanted to do is to defend women. And you can't even answer a question like this. It's not like the press is on your ass every day. We barely hear from you at all. Right. And now that we finally hear from you, and they're asking you a question surrounding the issue of women, you completely dodge it.
Yeah.
And your excuse is, I'm a daughter, as though you're not whatever her made-up position is. I mean,
yeah, I'm a daughter. And excuse me while I go meet with political leaders across the world for my daddy.
I don't know about the rest of Americans, but I don't want somebody in the White House whose defense is I'm a daughter.
Yeah.
Either you fucking work here or you don't. Act like an adult.
Yeah, like if I fuck up on my job or something, like, well, I'm a son. Fuck, that's supposed to mean.
If you were the boss's son and you said that, it would still kind of be a problem, right?
It would be a huge problem. People would hate me like they hate her. Like, no, you just like the fact that how little these people get, especially his family members, it's just ridiculous.
I'm a daughter. It's my right as a daughter to do what? To just. And some people, like, if she wasn't working in the White House, I know a lot of people would be like, well, you shouldn't go after them, whatever. I'm not sure I agree. But whatever. The point is she does work there.
Yeah, no, because I mean, at the end of the day, like if you can respect like family boundaries, but when you're a political position, even hell, fuck it. When you're in a public eye, unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. It's going to bleed over to your family. People are going to like want to, and especially if you're someone who is a part of that family who doesn't hide or shy away from the fact that, yeah, that's my daddy. It's not like, let's be honest, it's not like she shies away from the spotlight. She's not like, say like George Bush's kids, the ones that people used to come at George W. Bush's kids occasionally because of like they were hard partiers, known to be drug abusers, things like that. But at no point did these kids ever trade on the idea that, yeah, George Bush, my daddy, and they didn't necessarily publicly embrace that idea. It's just that they just happened to be caught because they were his kids, not necessarily out of any, any seeking any type of spotlight themselves. This woman actually actively has been seeking spotlight, just like his son has actively sought spotlight. You know,
Right, that's what yeah. When I said I didn't agree, I don't mean like a regular person. Like if I suddenly became famous and they went after like my random cousin nobody's ever heard of, that wouldn't be appropriate. I was disagreeing because Ivanka Trump is in the public eye in her own right. She's a business public figure. Yeah, I mean, she's constantly out there pushing her business, creating this image of herself. My point was that it's not like she's just this person that nobody ever heard of, and we're just kind of fucking up her private life all of a sudden by asking these questions. She's already been in the public eye for a while now. So that's why I say the political thing aside, it still would have been appropriate to ask her these questions because she has enough of a public presence for it to have been important. This guy.
On a side note, really quick, when did the New Day's intro be accompanied with graphics?
It's been a few weeks now, and I hate it.
Like they literally have been putting on the screen like clap for your like and feel the power. I'm like, wait, what happened?
Feels like it's part of their. And they've been revamping the imagery. I've noticed on regular shows a little bit. Like you see a lot of like promos done with a phone selfie camera, and they'll just do it themselves. I'm like, so you putting camera guys out of a job? Like, you shooting a lot of these promos with these selfie camera things.
By the way, I'm on some pancakes right now. But
shit, so, bruh, these guys are fucking weird. They just like feed pancakes to people.
First they fed them cereal,
which was inappropriate.
They're pouring bootios in somebody's mouth, and then they decide to go around and start tossing pancakes.
That shit would piss me off, bro. Like if I was a father and you walked up to my son and started pouring cereal.
No, they did it to a grown man.
I know, but they do it to kids and people. Like I don't know. It just feels weirdly sexual to me. I don't like it. I just don't like it. It's just something about the way Biggie has to gyrate when he does shit.
Yeah, no, the man wants to be a stripper. I keep saying it. He wants to be a stripper. If WWE falls apart or he gets kicked out, he's going to be a stripper.
I think that's my problem with it. Like, you can't be like shaking your ass around 2 seconds before and then coming and pouring cereal down my son's throat. Nah, bruh. There needs to be like a bigger space of time between that shit. No, don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Oh man, we've gone on the like weird tangents in between our ranting on these people. It helps though to go on these tangents because god damn it, I can't just constantly focus on this shit. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's like you have this weird state, and the thing is, like, since November 8th, 2016, it's just been like this weird downward spiral. And it's like when the bar starts to get lower, he says, hold my beer. Let me pull this a little bit further down for y'all because I can make this shit work. We can go worse. Like, you think things are bad now. We can go to we can find out how bad things are going to be.
You say that. I don't think a lot of people understand how bad things even are right now. Like, I think maybe a lot of us still aren't engaged enough to notice how crazy some of this shit is. I know a little after the election, a lot of people's response was to kind of just pull away from public political, because a lot of stuff around that time was getting pretty nasty. You have to remember around that time too, or at least a little bit before that, was when Black Lives Matter things started to pop up. So you had a lot of racial-based animosity rolling throughout the country because of all the black deaths via police and stuff. So right before that, we had that shit going on. And then we got this fucking disaster running for president and winning. So the political social arena in America was not a pleasant place at the time, and increasingly hasn't been still. So I think you've seen a lot of people just kind of rescind into their personal lives, say, fuck it, I don't want to be part of this, and just kind of exist separately. I think that's why today you see so many extreme sounding voices even though I don't think the majority of America is like that, I think the majority of America is just kind of pulling away. It's too much for a lot of people to deal with, and I get that sentiment. There's a lot to look over nowadays,
Yeah.
and just as Americans, we're becoming increasingly bad at talking publicly. Too many things devolve into these bloody arguments. It makes public discourse a nightmare in so many cases.
Yeah, no, it's just fuck, man. We actually are like what, a year and a month in, a little over a year and a month into this shit since its inauguration.
I forgot to mention with that shooting in Florida. Of course, some people started throwing around the conspiracy theory that some of these kids were just actors.
That bothered me really.
I guess pushing some anti-gun liberal agenda was their claim. I didn't dig too deep into it, but I certainly didn't notice that was going around.
Yeah, because I noticed somebody, I forget who it was, but he responded to a picture that somebody posted of one of the kids smiling and laughing in a photo, and the person's basic point to that picture was like, "Gee, you guys really are good at acting, because for someone who just saw their friends get killed, you are very happy at this moment now that you're famous, huh?" And this guy, he responded, it was a former soldier who responded. He was like, "I've seen family members die, and like I saw my wife die, and at her funeral, me and her friends laughed and celebrated her life. I've been a soldier, and I've seen friends die in a line of duty, and days later, me and my fellow soldiers were able to smile and laugh and reflecting on them, as well as just going about day-to-day life." He was like, until you've grieved and you know and understand like that you can continue life even after tragedy, you shouldn't question these kids and try to like come up with this bullshit basically about them faking it because they're happy, they're having a happy moment after a tragedy. And I'm like, this dude is 100% right. How can you tell somebody that they can't show any joy and that they must be faking it because they show any joy even after something like this? The fact that people are using that as a premise to attack these kids is disgusting.
Yep, but it's already not the first time. I mean, this happened. I think this happens pretty much every time. It happened during Columbine. There's a strong appetite here for conspiracy theories. I was trying to remember the exact details of that one during the Clinton campaign with the was it like child slavery run out of a pizzeria or something like that in Washington? There's a group of the American population that has a strong hunger for conspiracy. But we did pay attention to those motherfuckers because they're there. And it's been morally disgusting every time they do it. But I don't know why they're so attracted to these ideas. They're ludicrous on their face, and yet they seem to gain traction within whatever number of people they gain traction with.
But it's kind of, and again, this is a testament to Trump and the way that he's like shaped things. It's one thing if you want to try to attack the other side, but try to do it right. It's like, did you not think that this was going to go well? That this wasn't going to go well. Would you taking that position, calling these kids actors and saying they're faking all of this? Like, what in your mind made you thought that was the right plan of, like, I guess, of tact or how to address this issue? So going after these kids who just went through a traumatic event and trying to just basically break down how they feel or how they react to being some phony thing that they conjured up because they have no fucking, feelings for their fellow classmates who died, or they have no, post trauma or anything. If I smile after something bad happens, clearly I don't care. This is your position. You clearly don't care, and you're clearly just pretending. You're clearly just fame seeking. You are just happy to see your fellow classmates get killed, so you could take the opportunity to become a social media darling. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That this is what these kids are doing? Seriously?
I mean, so I'll address that in a second. Real quick, I just want to mention, because I forgot, Trump Jr. got a little shit because he liked one of those posts that was going with that conspiracy shit about those shooters. Again, yet another member of this family fucking up here. But this desire for conspiracy theories thing, it's not just about them going after these kids, which is disgusting enough. It's this feeling that a lot of them have that there's this massive, secretive, corrupt, liberal, I don't know what the fuck, force in this country that's just kind of sweeping over the nation. It makes the mainstream media, as we call it now, in a derisive way, biased towards the left. You have all these college kids biased toward the left, which, I mean, yes, college kids are generally more progressive, but there's a reason for that. There's this feeling among many people in the country that there's this deep-rooted wave of leftism that just keeps washing over the country. So they see these shooters and these shooting incidences, and they're like, "Oh, look at these kids! It just must be another part of the leftist conspiracy to try to take your fucking guns away." Like I had mentioned earlier, but there's been a bit of a cultural divide always in this country, and I think a lot of these people, these types of Trump people, you can say, they sense they kind of lost the culture war because they did. I mean, America, despite how terrible people want to pretend the country always is, has gotten less racist, less sexist. We're more accepting of different kinds of people. And when you look at the nation, it looks different than it did 50, 100 years ago. Black people are more prominent, not in shackles. That wasn't me calling them racist, but, you get my point. You see, even in media, you see women, starring in more movies, taking on more badass roles. Like Wonder Woman was this big shit. We're talking about the Dora Milaje in Black Panther. You have Black Panther, yet another movie with a black guy in it. I mean, again, despite how terrible people always think the country is and that it's never getting any better, it has changed quite a bit. And I think we made the mistake of leaving some people out of that change. They sense that the culture has shifted around them and they're not really part of it in some way. So they feel like they're always constantly being attacked by the culture around them. In some cases, that's true, because I'm sorry, but a lot of us have moved on from some of the stupider ideas that we used to have. And maybe we didn't do a good enough job bringing everybody. And in some cases, there are little fuck-ups with the way we moved, but I think I understand that they do sense that there was a shift in the culture over the, whatever number of decades, and they were either not part of it or on the losing end of it. I think that's why you saw so much support for Trump, because they seem to have this sense that there is just this leftism cloud over the country, just striking them with lightning and drowning them with rain, that they can't seem to escape. That's why anytime you really listen to them, they act like they're the biggest victims in the world. Everybody's against them. The left is biased against them. Everybody's calling them racist, sexist, and blah, blah, blah. They're a bunch of whiny little bitches. I was trying to avoid saying it that way. But as much as we call them racist and sexist, listen to the way they talk. They're always victimizing themselves. They're always the victim of this leftist oppression running through the country.
No, it's very, very true. It's funny because I remember seeing somebody tweet on social media the other day how, like, oh, now everything's racist. Like you can't say anything without being racist. Like, no, that's not true. Perhaps you shouldn't just say something racist. Perhaps you shouldn't just get upset when somebody calls you for and they insisted of bullshit. But it's like, oh my God, I'm just being made out to be this racist victim. So what? I said something about black people shouldn't do this. That doesn't mean I'm racist. Like they defend stuff in a weird way. And they try to like flip it like I'm so being oppressed because I'm not allowed to racist, like, or I'm not allowed to sexist. It's a weird time we're in.
I will acknowledge, because I don't think a lot of us pay enough attention, but they're not completely wrong in some of those cases. I see too many people get attacked for being a racist or sexist or whatever in cases that are just not fair at all. Like they, as part of this cultural shift that we've been doing, which has mostly been good, I think we got a little too trigger happy with the way we throw around words like racism and sexism. I see them applied to some people, and then I'll go and look. I'm like, that was a bit far.
No, I agree. It's just that you generally don't get the people who truly feel like they're being like attacked respond in certain ways. Like they'll respond with like, well, no, that's not my intention. You misread me. They'll try to want to have a conversation about it, or at least try to clear the air. Whereas the people that you know that you're basically, you know that what your intent was, they start screaming at the top of their lungs as if they're just being like, you know, politically, mentally, socially raped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the pushback isn't like, wait, that's not what I meant at all. How is it that you could get that from what I said? It's like, no. Oh, see, there it goes. Every time a white person says something, then we're crazy. We're obviously racist. This is so unfair to me. Life is just so like, this is fucked up, bro. Like, no, you can't take it. Like, no, why are you getting so hyped? If you really didn't mean that, you wouldn't get so hyped and get uber defensive in your stance.
Yeah, I just wanted to be careful the way I talk about it, because I do think a lot of us don't acknowledge that there is this issue with people being too quick to brand somebody a racist and all that shit. It's a weird issue because some people are justified in complaining about it, because I will look, you know, as an objective third party at what happened. I'm like, yeah, they shouldn't have called you racist. That they were wrong to do that. There are some people who are justified in that, but a lot of the people who you see vocally complaining, you were kind of being racist. I mean,
yeah. It reminds me, like I was watching this basketball game last night, and this commentator made a comment about how like he felt like this. I was watching my favorite team, and he made a comment about how the best team player on the team is a selfish player. And like the guy was like, really? You think the guy with him was like, really? You think that? And he was like, yeah, that's how I feel about him. But then he goes on this rant, but don't come at me just because I said this. And I know I'm always supposed to say something positive about this team and all their players, but sorry if I'm the one to say something negative. It's like, okay, all you did was just give your opinion. Why are you compounding this by continually going on in defense of your position in the most extreme way where nobody said that you had a bias against this team? You said the thing about the bias. It was just left that you don't think that player is a good enough team player. If you would have just said that, fine. That's your opinion. Dude might have want to ask you why you felt like that. You could have expounded on it. But no, he just took it to this whole defensive stance where he felt the need to feel like, oh, now I'm going to be the victim because I said something bad about this team and everybody's going to be mad at me because I can't talk about this team like that. Like the conversation never went there with his like co-host or anything like that. He's just announcing a game, so it's not like he gets immediate feedback from someone who counters his point because you're just commentating on the game. So why you felt the need to address whatever feedback that you weren't getting right now? It is like stuff like that. I turned the game off because like, well, clearly you do have a bias because you made sure to like go on for 15 minutes on a point that had nothing to do with what was going on with the game, with the subject matter, or anything like that, just to position yourself as not being a hater or whatever. It's like You didn't need to do that. It's unnecessary. There's no reason, but you find people do that a lot these days. Like they really have to put this hard when they say something that they feel might not be the most popular thing. I feel like they have to put this weird full court press on to make it look like they're not totally against this. When to me, it just totally says, yeah, you do have an personal issue with this. Because
I will say I personally feel that way sometimes too. Like, for example, if I'm as an atheist, sometimes I'll want to talk about religion. And you see how like long some of my writing shit is? It's because I'm preactively defending myself against the attacks I'm used to getting. Because I'm used to people like claiming a lot of horrendous shit about me when I write some stuff, so much that I've gotten into the habit of just pre-denying that I'm saying a lot of this shit, which is a weird place to be in. But
and my advice, stop. Just stop doing that. Seriously, like, make your point. Even if if you don't want to, quote unquote, offend anybody, then make your point in as eloquent in like a way that you can. But by no means don't necessarily change your opinion, or don't necessarily feel like you have to immediately throw defense to your opinion, because it makes you seem like you're extremely biased. Like, and you could be extremely biased, but you don't need to double down immediately. And I think that's what a lot of people spend too much time doing, is doubling down.
No, I was like just explaining that,
like reinforce. And I understand why you would feel that way, because
I mean, I'm not equating it to what he's doing, because even when I am kind of pre-defending myself a little bit, I'm not like freaking out about it.
Yeah, angry. But no, I'm just saying, like, I understand, like, I can understand why you would do it, because we're in a like situation now with social media having so much immediate feedback that you kind of do get into a habit of making sure to kind of try to stay a step ahead, because you know that people are always looking. Because on the opposite side, you also have those people who will just take something, like you said, and like propound it to something that it's not, in an extreme, like that extreme level. Like they'll take it and like go way too far with their whole point in attacking you. So it's like, you do have this kind of situation where, especially when it comes to social media, where you want to, quote unquote, cross the T's, dot the I's as much as possible, so people won't give like a really visceral reaction for no reason.
Certainly. And I talked about this cultural issue. Again, a lot of us, the culture has shifted in a lot of ways for the better, and I think we just didn't acknowledge that a lot of people didn't feel like they were part of that shift. It could be just because they weren't in situations where they could be. Everybody claims colleges are so liberal. That's partially because they're exposed to a lot of different kinds of people in an environment that makes it easier for them to just kind of become more accepting of differences, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, part of the reason colleges are so liberal is because they are a diverse environment. If you were just surrounded by like-minded people in the Midwest, for example, not to be a dick and point them out, I'm sure I could point out black neighborhoods like that too, but it is understandable that you wouldn't have had the same opportunities to have your mind crafted, I guess. So we have this group of people who feel extremely victimized, feel surrounded by the encroaching culture shift. And it's a weird irony in this country, because they're not lacking that much in power. A lot of them are fairly well educated. Despite the fact that they seem to be the minority, they have a lot of political sway. I mean, all of their bitching gets like all of our attention nowadays. They have their fucking maniac as the president. They seem to be able to block any real reform in a lot of ways from happening. For all the complaining that they're doing, they have a lot of sway in this country relative to their size.
Perfect example is the whole Black Panther thing, where you get the people who make the argument, I don't understand why these black people are dressing up and getting excited about a movie about the with the black superhero. How would you feel if we got excited about a movie if we had white superheroes in it? And it's like, you realize that 95% of movies, even in the current market, consist of white figures in prominent roles, especially the superhero genre. What do you mean, how do we feel? We already know how it feels to see you do that because you do it all the time. So what?
And yet they feel aggrieved by the fact that we had a Black Panther movie. And
right. And like we got excited and decided to dress up like they dress up for their good.
I think it's good to understand, or at least I shouldn't say understand like I'm explaining in perfect reasoning. I could be wrong as to why they feel that way, but you know, I started talking about this because of that conspiracy theory thing. I think that's part of the reason they're so open to these things, because they feel all the time like there's this leftist agenda all over the place shifting the culture without them. So anytime this gun thing happened and now we're talking about gun control and they don't want gun control, so it must be a conspiracy by the left. Why else would we be talking about gun control? It's not like, you know, the country has gotten less interested in guns over the decades.
Right.
There's no other way to explain this, that it is a bunch of child actors they hire to travel around the country. I don't know. There's got to be something that can be done to unify the culture a little bit, because we're getting increasingly polarized politically, and we're not noticing that as good as some shit is becoming, we left a fair number of people out in the cold there, man. And they're resentful. And I'm not excusing their behavior because of that resentment, like a lot of people do. I still think they're highly responsible for whatever idiot shit they're doing.
Yeah, killmongers.
But we're not going to fix this by just always pointing out how stupid they're being. I mean, in some way, we have to include them. And I think one good step is for those of us who feel inclined to call everybody racist or sexist on every little thing, calm down a little bit, because you're part of the reason they feel so backed into a corner. And sometimes you're right, they're being racist or sexist, but I can see why they're so hostile. You just saw that story about the dude. I have this friend on Facebook, and I don't know what his fucking problem is, but he seems to always go after women, like making it seem like women are, I don't know, fucking with men. They're always trying to do all this. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what his motivation is. He's always making it seem like men are constantly being fucked over by women, and that there's this extreme bias in favor of women and all this shit. Yet he's the one constantly going after women. It's not like he spends so much time and energy going after them and shitting on them. Yet he always acts like he's the victim as a man. It's the weirdest thing. And I kind of want to address him on it, but I'm afraid that he's an actual crazy person. So
Probably is. Probably.
Plus, the whole gun debate thing came up, and then he had his little rifle thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to back off of it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't blame you, because you kind of don't want to talk to those people, because it's like, why am I even wasting my time? I feel like I'm just going to frustrate myself to a point where I'm just going to lose it, and I don't want to lose it.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my life, because this dude is a...
Oh, yeah, that too.
Predictably, of course, yeah. You could probably tell what he was into, his political affiliations over there.
Yeah. Nutty world that we're in. Nutty world.
But,
yeah.
I was trying to see if there's anything else on my little list to jump off of. Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that every once in a while I'll recommend a book here, and I'm just going to recommend The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. If you're religious, I hope you give it. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I can imagine people being a bit offended, but I hope you suppress the offense if you're going to read or listen to it as an audiobook, because Richard Dawkins, he narrates it himself, and he's got a nice little British voice over there. I would recommend it specifically to religious people, honestly. I would say before you even start, kind of temper your instinctive reactions to say this is bullshit, which has probably already been stoked because it's called the God Delusion, which is a title people find offensive right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful book. It's very thought provoking.
So there you go, you heathens. No, just kidding. Okay, really quick. So you might have noticed some changes, which we don't notice yet because we're actually doing the show, but there have been some post-production done to the podcast. You might have noticed. Like we have an intro now, which is cool. Song selected by Mr. Cardiacsumo.
Oh, I'll say that shit.
No.
If they don't like it, make sure it was, it's your.
No, if you don't like it, then blame me. Okay.
Yeah. I don't like to take the credit when shit works.
I'll take the bullet for now. But if it works, then it's all because of Cardiac. It was a great choice of song that will be playing during the intro and outro. So we will have intros and outros. Now I've added the social media links to us. So if you want to hit us on Twitter or email us, you can go ahead and do that. WisguyGSE@gmail.com. And I'm almost ready to debut the pod being site. So expect that to be flashing up on our social media. So if you follow us on our social media, you'll see that link come up. So you can grab the podcast, the audio version of the podcast right there. So things are picking up a bit. Trying to invest more time and money into this. And it's a couple of other things that I may be able to pull off pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. But also, if you don't know, the His Point, Her View podcast is back. We recorded our first episode in ages. That is up with its own intro and outro as well. So make sure to check that out.
Also, where's our little dance that we're supposed to get out of you?
Yeah, my camera. It's funny because that you mentioned that, because I was just about to say I didn't do that because this right here had some issues, especially with the remote. I actually had to replace the remote to it too. But it's back working. It's a little worse for the wear, but it's working. So I can actually fucking do a record, because I couldn't have done it on the webcam. That's my problem. Like this webcam, yeah. The logistics of trying to do it on a webcam would have been ridiculous, but on an actual camcorder that I can set up on a tripod now that works from now on, the battery's still good. Yep, battery's still good. So it actually works.
I'm just saying, I'm not gonna let you forget.
Oh no, it's funny because I think about it like every day. I actually practice doing that dance occasionally. It's weird because I find myself just occasionally like, yeah, I need to practice this dance.
I hope you haven't gotten good at it yet.
No, I haven't.
I'm not saying I want you to fail,
but you want me to embarrass myself, which is fine. It's gonna happen. I don't deny that. It's
I don't want you to come out and be like really fucking good, and then all of a sudden
you
go viral.
Like, God damn it! This is
This is not kind of success I want for you, bro.
No, trust me, that's not going to happen. I'm too awkward to get that successful. But yeah, no. Now that my camcorder and the remote to the camcorder is everything, there'll be more stuff that will be coming, because now I'm starting to get into a better groove time-wise too. So even though I'm taking accounting right now, which, oh my God, I hate this class. Okay, I hate accounting. I really am, but it's vital that I learn this. So
nerd shit, yo.
Yeah, I know.
Numbers and all that gross stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, liability and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so things are starting to shape up. So we have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. We might even have game sessions on the channel, because this man, he now has a PS4. So.
It didn't even process to me that I would be part of that. Like, what are you gonna play, Black?
Hey, I mean, you, me, Eurostrix, we can all just like fucking like play Fortnite and die together.
I was about to say, like, I tend to warn people before they get into this situation that I'm not good at any game at all ever.
Oh, I suck. So, although I will say this, I did get the first victory royale by happenstance on Fortnite. Me and SB, we were playing with random squads where they fill in the extra people, and somehow I survived all the way to the end to get one kill, and that one kill was the game-winning kill. So it felt good.
I gotta try this game out. Like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is. So, bro, my barber today. I got my haircut today. My fucking barber brought up this game. I'm like,
it's just fun. Like, I am not a battle royale person. Like, I get why people like PUBG, but I'm not into it because I'm not hardcore. And I find PUBG, it's like you stress so much to survive in that game and to find something. And it's like once you get to find something and you survived a bit, as soon as you try to relax, boom, you're dead. Game over. And it's just like it's too tense. Whereas Fortnite has enough silliness to it where even if you do continually get killed, you don't feel as stressed or as upset because there's enough wackiness in the game to where, yeah, okay, I can accept that. You know what I mean? And they keep expanding like crazy. Like right now, they got sonic grenades that'll bounce you in the air if you throw them right. So you can literally launch yourself at your opponent with these goddamn sonic grenades and crazy shit like this. Huh?
That would piss me off if somebody did that to me.
Yeah, because I've watched people stream it and I've seen this guy like fucking sonic bounce himself right up to a guy and shotgun him in the head. Like, yeah, no, that's fucking no.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's entertaining.
I'll have to give it a go because, like, I noticed people were playing it, but like, for my barber to just randomly bring that up, because I think the kid next, like, there was a kid getting his haircut next to me, and he was bringing up all these video games he plays. Like, you play Fortnite? I'm like, what the? Why can't I escape this game, bro? Like,
it's definitely probably. I mean, it's fun. Like I don't play it a lot because again, I'm not huge on the battle royale thing, but when I play it, I do find myself really enjoying myself. So
when he said that, I was thinking like, so are we done with Call of Duty finally, and now we're all Fortnite guys?
Of course not. No, it's just the Fortnite's the flavor of the month, but people will still play Call of Duty forever.
I'm curious because there are
by
too
the way,
many games.
Is John Cena just showing up on whatever show he wants now?
He's a free agent. What do you mean?
I find that so weird that he just like bounces back and forth for doing these shows.
I mean, technically, I never know why he was just sticking to one show at all. He's a free agent. He should be able to just do both more often. Than
He's gonna fight AJ. What the fuck? You don't deserve this honor, sir.
That really bothers me that you just said that.
What?
That he's gonna fight it.
Yeah, he's.
Who the fuck is this guy's a loser, bro? Why does he get these matches? He lost the Royal Rumble, failed. He lost the Elimination Chamber, bruh. Why does he deserve this shit? It better not be a title match. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I feel like it is for some reason. But...
Nope. There's. Let's see. Is bruh, that guy I mentioned who's always attacking women and who's a gun nut. He goes, if all you do is debate politics on Facebook, congrats, you're ruining a good thing. Bruh, all this dude does is talk about politics every day.
That's the thing. This is the thing that bothers me because it's like you don't really realize what you're doing or saying at all. You're just spitballing bullshit.
The audacity.
It's crazy.
I've seen a lot of people do that. Part of the reason that I tend to hesitate to comment on people's shit sometimes is because they have this weird reaction where, like, if you disagree, it's, well, nobody asked you. But of course, if you agree, they never say that. It's like, yeah, It's crazy, right? It's confirmation is great and disagreement is the end of the world for too many people.
Yeah.
But, which again, public discourse is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Why don't we close off? Because I got to bitch about John Cena some more. And I don't feel like this is the
this isn't the forum for that.
This is the platform for that.
Okay, so again, thank you to everybody who's watched, commented, everything, shared the links. Please feel free to subscribe to us. Our social media links are below. So if you want to like see what we're saying, because me and Cardiac do rant back and forth about a lot of things. You want to hear Cardiac like go off on wrestling too. That's a great thing to see. Like I saw you respond to Waza now last night. Not last night, but the other night about the paper. Like that. Like, oh my God, wrestling is such a beautiful thing. I need to get a wrestling podcast back going because that was fun just talking about the bullshit of WWE. I have to put that in the works for a podcast too, since the Wise Guy Gaming Sports and Entertainment Network is starting to expand more and get into stuff like that.
Get it set up before the next Wrestle Kingdom because that'll be a fun thing to do. Oh, those Wrestle Kingdoms are so fucking good.
I don't know if I'm excited about that only because of the like Bullet Club thing because I feel like they're about to do something stupid.
I don't mean like right now. I just mean in general, the matches for Wrestle Kingdoms are great. In New Japan, they're just awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh, they need the Gorillas of Destiny to get more pub, but that's just me.
I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Cena on the podcast. I just want to say I'm not like one of these haters that just hate Cena and Roman for no reason. I don't even hate Cena. I respect him. I think he's good. I just don't like the way writing tends to put him in these positions. I'm just putting out that disclaimer that I'm not one of these fuck Cena dudes. That's all I want to say about that.
Yeah, no, it's always the writing. But him and Reigns is always the writing that compromises them. There's nothing wrong with either of them.
I just don't want to come off as one of these crazy motherfuckers that just hate these two no matter what the fuck they do.
Let's go Cena.
That's not my beef.
Yeah, no. I actually don't hate John Cena. I actually think, especially in the last few years, John Cena has been at the top of his fucking game. Especially with the promos and shit. But,
I want to comment on that, but I'll wait till we close. Otherwise, we'll never finish.
Yeah, I know. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next time on The Reason Reborn. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.